Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Here are your hosts, Steve Collins and Greg Berg.
Hey, Coach, welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. I am so excited that you decided to join us. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a big shout. First of all, the Coach Berg's website, gberg, berge.gumroad.com. It's got everything. First of all, it's got his team iOS, which rocks, which I'm using with my team. I'm going to use with my team. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited about it. But it's got a little bit of everything. It's got free resources. You can see how great his material is. gberg with an E. .gumroad.com. Again, it will be down below in the show notes. And then also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. There's lots of programs. There's lots of things. There's ex-coaches. There's ex-Division I coaches. There's ex-high school coaches. You know, I am actually a high school coach running this in the front lines with all of you, knowing what you're going through. Go over and check it out. I think you won't be disappointed. 14-day free trial. And let's head off to the podcast. All right, welcome to the Leadership Podcast, Basketball Leadership Podcast. Could be Leadership Podcast, I guess. It's going to go Basketball Leadership Podcast. So this is an interesting one. We're going to talk about studies. So I'm a stats teacher, AP stats teacher. So I read lots of research and bring it into the classroom. So we're going to talk about the bad apple study. Was this a research study or was this like someone just writing an article, Coach?
You're gonna want to look this up after. Okay. So a guy by the name of William Phelps, I believe his name, was getting his doctorate at the University of Washington. And his wife was coming home from work and complaining kind of about just how negative the workplace was and how, it's just kind of one of those, didn't seem like it was fun, going to work. And one day, one of the people at work who was maybe a little bit more negative wasn't there and was sick and actually ended up being out for like a week. And she commented to her husband how much different the workplace was. Like all of a sudden people were happy and they're talking to each other. It just changed. And so it intrigued Will Phelps. So he decided to do a study on his sociology students at the college. And what he did is he took these kids that were all in these, like, I think they were business classes, and he put them in groups of 4 and he had them do a task for 45 minutes. And if they completed the task, he incentivized it and they all got like $100. And so he would bring them in and they'd go through this task. What the kids didn't know is he trained one person to be a bad apple, and he put that person in a lot of these different groups as they came in. And so he'd train them to be a slacker, or he'd train them to be just really negative. He'd train them to kind of, not real obvious, but really influence the group in a negative way. And what he found was pretty amazing. And you would expect, probably this, but 30 to 40% of the performance of those groups went way down. And not only that, but they found out that the traits of the people inside that team they took on the traits of the slacker or the bad apple. So if that bad apple was just being lazy and a slacker, all of a sudden that group by the end became lazy and a slacker. And so what it really told the study was one person, all it takes is one person. And we know this as coaches, one person can totally sabotage a team and eat it away from within. And if we don't address that one person, it can sabotage a team. Now, the one positive from this study was there was only one group out of all these groups that had the bad apple that did not succumb to that 30 to 40% drop in performance. And that group actually rose above it and did really well. And so when they studied that group, they wanted to find out why. Well, that group had a phenomenal leader. That group, the kid in that group, his dad was a diplomat. He had some really natural leadership skills. He was able to bring everyone in. That bad apple would try to do things, and he would validate them, but he would get the group, he would distract him, he'd get the group right back focused on the task at hand. He didn't let anyone else be impacted by that bad apple. And when they interviewed the bad apple after this, the bad apple said, that was the only group where I found myself wanting to contribute to the group in a positive way. And I had to remind myself, oh yeah, I'm the bad apple. I shouldn't be doing that. So the positive is the importance of one leader. So as we think of this and I think of it as just teams and coaching, it takes one person to eat away at the culture of our team. It also takes one leader to pull a team up to great heights and great levels. And so as a coach, it's really important. I think this is something we learn as we get older. If we have that one kid who is starting to slide down that negative scale, we have to address it right away. And if we don't, it's going to hurt your team. It's going to hurt it big time.
It is. And for the team and for the coaches that have to pick teams like I do, you don't, and have to cut. I'm telling you, like there's several days are the important days. The day you pick your coaching staff, the day you pick where you're going to work, the day you pick your team, the day you pick your leaders or captains. Those are all big. Yes, this is like, again, if your bad apple is your second best player, then you have bigger issues. But it's yes, and I love the counter. I while you were talking, I Googled it. It will be just type in the bad apple study. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's a long one, so it'll be some reading. But
they have condensed versions of it, but it's a great study for a team.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna use it with my team because I'm always looking for discussion starting points.
Yep,
that's what I'm looking for.
And you have to have these conversations with your team. I mean, I think as coaches, we have to nail this stuff head on. You gotta share. One upcoming podcast we have is on the energy bus. And that's one I read to my kids before every season. This bad apple study, I'll talk about it every year. There's other ones that I bring in as well, but you have to have these discussions with kids. We're molding them, and every discussion, every little thing that we do like this builds the culture, develops leaders, and it creates the mindset that we want in our team to be successful.
Well, and I'm telling you, we talk about leadership and culture and bonding and winning and all this stuff. It's all related. Mm-hmm. And you draw connections through this. Like I'm starting week 3 right now with school while we're filming this.
Yep.
And I think on Friday, I had a long discussion about my kids because I do something every day called life lessons.
Yep.
And one of the life lessons was comparison is the thief of joy.
Love it. Love that quote.
So we had a deep dive into that. And I said, that's Instagram. That's like, do something for someone. And anyway, we dove into that. It's the same thing with your team. Some of my deepest connections are when I'm talking about like this study that I'll bring up, and then we'll have a discussion about it.
Yep.
And then I can hear them when they're walking back to the locker room talking about it. Is it like, here we need to push baseline. Yeah, those things are important, but this stuff is just as important to me.
It is. And I've written a few books, and my first 2, my Culture Wins is my big one. And it's a short 50-page book, but it has 50 of these life lesson type things that we can bring into our team to talk about that. Really, I'm going to say it's like putting the cherry on top of everything we do. It just solidifies what's important to us. So, we're talking about developing culture and building leaders all the time. And now you bring in a study like the Bad Apple study and you talk about that. And all you're doing is you're validating everything that you've talked about. And you're just building layers and layers of what you expect, what you want. And over time, that's how you create the culture. Like then it becomes the culture because you're talking about it all the time. And so, we have to talk about these things. And I would encourage all coaches to pull up that study, read it, share it with their kids, talk about it. Because have you had a team where one kid has made a detrimental impact on the team?
Early in my career.
Yeah. And then you learned, right?
And then I learned, and then it has not happened since, to be honest with you. To give another story that I talked to about, I don't know if you've ever read about, I think his name is Bloden, the guy that did the wheelbarrow across Niagara Falls. You ever do that?
Mm-mm.
You should do a little research. Anyway, he was a daredevil, blah, blah, blah. We always talk about getting into the wheelbarrow. Because the only person that he asked all these people who would get in the wheelbarrow, and the only person that would get in his wheelbarrow was his mother. To go across the tightrope on a wheelbarrow. So, and we talk about it. It's like, well, why did mom go in? Because all these other people saw him go back and forth. No one else was going to get in that wheelbarrow over the Niagara Falls, but his mom did because his mom trusted him.
Yep.
It's like building all these. There's some videos on YouTube and funny things. Ooh. And anyway,
I'm checking that one out.
Yeah. But we always talk about getting in the wheelbarrow sometimes. And again, I only use some seasons, depending on what I need.
Yep. What you need. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What you need. But the Bad Apple one, will I need that story maybe with this group? I don't know if I will, but I think I always talk about putting it in your toolbox, people. You always want as many tools as you can in your toolbox. And Absolutely. All these stories are good for kind of putting into the toolbox. So I will put that down in the show notes as far as I'll try to find the wheelbarrow one too for people, but I'll put that and the Bad Apple study down below. And all right, till next week, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks.